Well, hello there, and welcome back to episode 13 of my Minecraft 1.14 Let's Play. I'm here in the end. We're at the end portal, and some of you may recognize this structure under here. I need about a bazillion cobblestone because I need to make a whole bunch of droppers for my sorting system, and in order to do that, I need another beacon. My one beacon is at my guardian farm right now, and I don't want to have to move it back and forth. I just want to be able to leave it there, and I do have enough wither skeletons to make one more wither. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it the cheaty way. I'm going to spawn it underneath this portal, and hopefully, if I've done everything right, importantly, this block needs to be under the middle block of the portal. So this is a 5x5. There should be 2 blocks on each side, and then 2 blocks down. And then you spawn it sideways like this, and then we place our 3 wither skulls, and we run backwards so we don't get hit by the explosion. And then hopefully he doesn't go flying out of the portal after that explosion happens. Looks like we're good. And I can just sit here and whittle him down, and it should not take long at all. And he should not be able to do any kind of damage to me whatsoever. There we go. Got ourselves another star. Alright, so we'll go on back to the overworld. I'll build another beacon and mine up a bunch of cobblestone, and we'll get back to making that sorting system. This is my gravelly mountains biome, and it was pretty ugly already because I've mined out a whole lot of gravel from it, so I figured this was a good place to come and take a bunch of stone without having to worry about what it was going to look like afterwards. But also there were some pretty decently sized dirt patches, and I'm definitely going to need dirt. And there was still quite a bit of gravel left. I mean, there's still more further out. There's a little bit here and there, but I was running low on gravel anyways, so I figured I'd grab some of that as well. I may have gone a little overboard on the cobblestone, but there's something kind of cool I want to do with that. I said I was going to need a lot of droppers, but I don't think I quite need this many, at least for this build. I actually don't know if I'll ever use this many droppers, but I do use quite a bit, and I'll probably come darn close if I don't use them all. And then that was 7 shulker boxes full of cobblestone right there, and then I decided to do this. I don't need these right yet, but this is just super cool to have, is a full shulker box of pistons. I will definitely use these at some point in time. In case you're wondering, before you ask in the comments, no, I have no intention of making a shulker box full of dispensers. It's hard enough to make a stack of those things. I did consider making a shulker box full of repeaters and comparators, but I don't have that much redstone right now. It takes 3 shulker boxes of redstone for each of those in order to get those working. So I've got like 5 shulker boxes of redstone right now, even after all that. So maybe I'll do a few AFK sessions. I think that'd be definitely pretty cool to have. And also, I have had a shulker box full of hoppers and a shulker box full of chests for quite some time now. So I'm getting pretty close to having a shulker box of all of the core redstone components. And that's kind of cool. Distractions aside, it's time to get back to making these sorting systems. I am a total idiot. I got this whole thing basically done before I realized that there's supposed to be a gap of 5 blocks in between these two things as a walkway. And I built them right next to each other, and it's not supposed to be that way. And it took me till I got all the way to the end before I realized, wait, it's supposed to be coming up at least into that block, probably a couple blocks past it, because I moved this one over a couple blocks. Yeah, so some of this is salvageable, most of it isn't. I gotta tear most of it down and move it over a bunch of blocks. So I ended up making these 7 blocks apart because there is this offset dropper elevator over here, and there is a torch tower behind it. And if I made these only 5 blocks apart, that would have been exposed as part of the wall. So I made the walls too thick, and I didn't need this corner right here, so I left this out, and it makes it feel a little more open when you do that. So you can't tell that it's actually like a 2-block thick wall. It looks kind of neat, but that allows me to hide the dropper elevator. Oh jeez. But yeah, I've got this one all working. I've tested it, and it's working fine. So now I just need to make two more of these over there. Fortunately, I'm actually getting really good at building these because I've done it about 4 times at this point. But so this one should hopefully be a little bit easier. So I've tested it out and everything's working really great here. So the next step is this wall over here, and this is going to be all shulker box loaders. And for that, let's go to my creative test world. I'm a huge fan of this one-wide tileable shulker box loading system by El Mango. It works really well. I've used it a ton of times and it has a great number of applications. But one thing I've never really cared about is that it's not flush mount. So you've got all this exposed redstone right here that doesn't really work well with a nice looking sorting system like I'd like to have. I mean, yes, you can bring the hopper out here and you can bring the chest out by putting a hopper in that block, and then you can kind of make it flush mount. But it's not truly flush mount, and when you do this, it makes it hard to tell how many shulker boxes are loaded into the whole system. And I like to take pretty tight control over how many shulker boxes I load into each type of item. And it doesn't really work well with that. So I did a bunch of testing in creative, and I ended up coming up with this design right here. Now this is too wide, which is a little bit of a downside, but it is flush mount. So you can put blocks right there, and everything's nice and flush mount. You've got access to all of your shulker boxes. So there's a dropper here and a dispenser here, and you can put shulker boxes in either one, and it'll actually kick them from the dropper into the dispenser, and then the dispenser down to back here. I tried really hard to make it one wide, but I don't think that is possible with the constraints that I wanted to have it flush mount and have access to all of the shulker boxes. So I don't really need, this might not work for everybody, but I don't really need it to be one wide. I don't need many shulker box loaders for this system. I just need a few, and this will give me 10, which is actually quite a decent number. So being able to access all the shulker boxes is a really good benefit, and I think it'll look really nice. It's nice flush mount, and so this is what I'm going to use, and it actually is going to leave a lot of space because our sections are actually 12 deep, so I might be able to put something else into the back wall or something like that. So let's go back to our survival world, and I'm going to just, these are actually pretty easy to build, so I'm just going to build 10 of these. Okay, here's the shulker box loader systems, complete with sorters attached to each one of them. It took me about 20-30 minutes to put all 10 of these together, so they're super easy to build compared to these things, which this one took me about 2 hours. This one took me a great deal more because of all the problems I had with it. And then these two together took me about 2 hours. So this was a fairly nice change of pace. So the last wall here is going to be a silo type storage system. This is a world map created by Cybot2419 a few years ago. Link in the description as always. This storage system right here is actually what Nembomb based the storage system that I built on. You can actually see the observer design right here that I built. He used rails and changed a few other things as well. But a lot of people have used this before. I've built that storage system in another world before, and this right here is the one that I'm going to build, and it's actually a pretty simple design. If you look at the side, there's not a lot going on to it. It's just really, really cool because it gives you lights to show you how full your storage is, and lots of storage. So it just lots of extra chests and stuff like that. So this is a pretty cool design. So this is what I'm going to build. Didn't take me long to throw this one together either. Again, it's a super simple design, and it's very cool, and it's very useful. Like, if you need anything like this, this is one of the best silo systems I've seen. So, we've got that all thrown together. We've got all of our walls built up, but there's still a long way to go. So, the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out a way to get items into there, and I don't have a complete plan for that one yet. This right here is a shulker box unloader. It was designed by Frilioth. It's not particularly compact, but I didn't need it to be. What I needed it to be was fully automatic. So instead of pressing a button or something like that to tell it to start going, basically you just drop shulker boxes into the system. There's a chest up above this hopper right here. And so any shulker boxes that go into the system, it's just going to automatically detect, kick them out into here, empty any items that are in the shulker box, and then break the shulker box and send it. The shulker boxes are going to go this way, and then the items are going to come out the back. So that what that'll do is I come up here, and when I'm done with a job or something like that, and I've got a bunch of shulker boxes full of items. That was weird. Okay. So when I've got a bunch of shulker boxes full of items, I drop them into this chest right here, and then it will empty them out. It'll send the shulker boxes over here. I've got some chests set up. That's where those are going to go. And then any of the items that were in the shulker boxes are going to go into the sorting system. So I've also got these systems, these shulker boxes right here. I use shulker boxes because I can't place shulker boxes into them. So this is for any random items I've got in my inventory that I want to clear out. I just shove them into this, and those will go into the sorting system as well. So all of these are going to go through the same chain. So I need to connect them down here. So I need hoppers underneath this. So all of these are going to chain into this right here. And then I'm going to set up a dropper and start it off in a water column. Send it up over here. This is the first section that I want to sort. So it's got to go into the shulker box loaders, and then into the silo systems, and then anything left will go through this sorting system. So I need to set all that up, and I need to set up this chain that goes over here and puts the shulker boxes into the system over there. Nothing super complicated about building a water channel, and I've got a standard dropper ejector right here, so I can build these things in my sleep. It's a super simple design. You just need a comparator that goes into a redstone repeater, and you need the signal from the redstone repeater to go back into the comparator. So whenever there's an item in the dropper, it'll provide a clock that continuously ticks and ticks and ticks until this doesn't provide a signal anymore, and then it'll stop like it is right now. And then you also need the redstone to come around somehow and trigger the dropper. There's a bunch of different ways you can build this same design. This one happened to work with the space that I had, so super simple design, not a lot of redstone, not very complicated. And then I've got all these hoppers. The shulker boxes you saw before have hoppers underneath them. They all go into a single chain of hoppers that drop down and feed into the same chain of hoppers that comes over from this shulker unloader, and they all go into the dropper. And this limits the speed of everything to the speed of a hopper, because it can't go any faster than this hopper can put items into this dropper, which is 2.5 items every second. So not super fast, but that was very, very intentional. I could have provided multiple dropper ejectors and just put a whole bunch of items in the water at a time, and the problem is that a lot of these systems up here can't operate that fast, and So if you sent, 2 sacks of sand very quickly, one of these sorters up here is going to get overloaded. So slowing it down to the speed of a hopper is what I need. That said, this is still a lot faster than using a hopper chain because water moves items faster. So the items are just going to whiz right by all these sorters, and if they don't get sorted by any of these sorters, they're going to reach this system much faster than if I had used hoppers to get them there. So that's a nice benefit. Another nice benefit is that water is a lot less laggy than hoppers. There's a lot less lag. There's going to be, hoppers are noted for their lag. They've gotten a lot better, but water is still better. Also, I don't have to build a dropper elevator, which can be a pain in the butt. So technically, it's much easier to build a water elevator than it is to build a dropper elevator. And, it's cheaper as well. So benefits all around for using water over hoppers. I like to use water whenever possible to move items. There are times like these sorting systems where it's not possible, but just getting the items into the first couple sorting systems doesn't really work getting items through these systems, but getting them through this one and getting them through sorters and stuff like that, whenever possible, I like to use water because it works a lot better. So here's the water channel from up above. You got your water elevator that drops off right here. You got to put some blocks above it, otherwise it'll actually shoot items into the air. So you want to stop them there, and then the water chain runs by. Every time the water stops, you got an ice block and something. You can use signs, you can use slabs. I like using iron trapdoors. I think they look really nice, and they're very small. They don't take up a lot of space on the block. And then, so it keeps on going. And then over here, I had to do an old trick. So what I'm doing here is I'm aligning them with the chest so that they're actually over partially. The items that come through are actually going to be partially on this block. And then so you see they run along the edges of the hoppers, and they actually still do get sucked up. So this is an old trick that you used to have to do all the time because items were really weird about running over hoppers and they get stuck in the dip of the hopper. And I haven't seen that happen anymore. I don't think that happens since I don't know what version, but these ones run right over the hoppers. But because this is a chain of 10 hoppers in a row, there's nowhere for me to place ice if I wanted to, in order to continue the water stream. So I had to place the ice a block over and run these along the edges of the hoppers. So you, again, align it with the chest and then use something like you can use cobblestone walls or you can use glass panes to keep, you don't want a solid block there because otherwise they'll actually get stuck on the edge of the solid block over there. So this gets them running right along the edge of the hoppers, and the hoppers will suck them up. So that runs all the way down, and then when we reach the end of it, it gets sent into this sorting system. And I no longer need this dropper elevator anymore because the point of it is to bring the items up to this side. So I'm going to go down and get rid of this small section right there. The rest of these have to stay, but I can just drop the items right into that hopper right there, and that'll get them sent through the start of the system and then on until the end. Same basic design over here for the empty shulker boxes, except on a much smaller scale. And if we come up here, I've got this just drops into a whole bunch of chests over here. So there's just, you can actually see the water stream over here. So it comes up the water elevator and it just puts it into a hopper that feeds into these 4 chests right here. I was originally just going to do 1 chest for shulker boxes, but 27 and even 54 shulker boxes isn't really that much. This is clearly overkill, but that's kind of the idea. I want to make sure I have plenty. I hope I get to where I have this many shulker boxes, but 1 chest is simply not enough. But that's all set up. This whole sorting system is complete from a redstone perspective, but I'm still a long way from putting any items in any of these chests here. These sorters themselves are actually, there's no items in them for them to sort, and there's no chest in any of this. So I've got to do the long, arduous work of setting up where I want everything sorted. That's probably actually going to take the longest out of any part of this sorting system. I think the best way to get started is to go on over to my old house there and grab all the items out of its storage system and cart them over here, and we can use that as a basis to set up this sorting system. The first load of items from my old base were principally bulk items, so it was pretty easy to decide that the first 5 shulker box loaders I want are cobblestone, stone, dirt, sand, and gravel. So I've loaded all the shulker boxes that I have of those items into these chests down here, and the filters are all set up. So these will start loading into shulker boxes any items that I have of these types. And then I think I want another shulker box loader for smooth stone, and I might want one for glass as well. Although I may want to just set up a shulker box loader or shulker box output if I build a smeltery system or something like that. But that's something to figure out later. For now, I think it's a pretty good idea to load any of these smooth stone that I get out of the system into shulker box loaders. And then for the silos, I've got cobblestone, stone, dirt, andesite, granite, diorite, and sandstone. These are duplicates, you may have noticed. But when I'm out of shulker boxes for those items over there, geez, need to finish the floor here. So when I'm out of shulker boxes in these systems over here, I want it to load them into the silo. So, like I only need so many shulker boxes of these items. For now, I'm probably going to load all the dirt into shulker boxes. But once I get this island all set up, I probably won't need to do much of that anymore, and I might want 1 or 2 shulker boxes of dirt and everything else to go into the silo. For cobblestone and stone, once you got 6, 8 shulker boxes of each of those, you really don't want to just keep wasting shulker boxes with more of them. I'd rather have them get loaded into the silo. So I've got them coming into here, and when this system is full, they're going to come over here, and then I can finally take these shulker boxes that I have of the various granite, diorite, and andesite, and I can load these into the shulker box unloader, and those will get loaded into those silos. The item sorting is almost complete, but I've run into a couple of problems. The first of which is that every once in a while, items are skipping by the hopper that's meant to sort them. It doesn't happen super often, so we might not see it here. Oh, there we go. So there's one right there. And you see the hopper isn't full, and they're not moving too fast or anything like that. Those are the first couple of things I ruled out. And it has something to do with a hopper timeout. So when a hopper collects an item, it waits 8 ticks before it will collect another item. And if an item runs by that during that 8 ticks, it will not collect that item, and it'll just run on by the hopper. And so that's actually a pretty hard thing to solve. The problem actually is because we've got that dropper down there, and it's almost perfectly timed to a hopper. Any corner, the water elevator, anything like that is going to introduce some element of randomness. You can see how some items are clustering and some aren't. So every once in a while, you're going to have, items that come by at non-perfect timing, and sometimes they're just going to skip by the hopper, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about that except for slowing down the dropper. Now that dropper down there can't really be slowed down. It technically can, because you can just hit this repeater over here and that will slow down the dropper. So you see it's going. If we slow down this dropper, you immediately notice it's going slower. It's far more obvious if you set it on 4 ticks. But the problem is that the way this dropper ejector works is that if this signal, this is always going to be a full string signal. So if this is a full string signal because this dropper is full, then the whole thing will stop working because these signals are both the same strength. So you can't ever let this fill up. So it's got to eject it as fast as it gets it. So if you slow it down, eventually this will fill up and the whole system will stop working. So this specific dropper ejector will not work for that. I don't know if that's what I want to do, if I want to slow it down, or obviously if I use a hopper chain, I can wait until I'm all the way up here to do the hopper chain. Once it gets up to the top of the water elevator, I can add a hopper chain and run it all the way down and across. I don't really want to have to do that, but I might have to, because otherwise I'm going to have to slow down the system somehow. So I thought this would work, and it's unfortunately, I don't know if things have changed. I've never run into this issue in previous versions, but it's a problem that I'm having, and having items go by the sorting system kind of defeats the point of having the sorting system, because then you got to put them back through. That's not something I want to deal with. So the other problem I was having has to do with this sorter right here, and every once in a while these sorters were letting things go by them, but only in this first row. And it took me a while to figure out what that was going on, but it ended up that this comparator right here at the dropper sends a signal down to this redstone, and this redstone sends a signal that starts the clock down here that sets all of these uh, repeaters going, and that's what does the actual sorting. And by bypassing the first dropper, I was just dropping items way up there, and I'd gotten rid of this first line of droppers. No items were going in to trigger that comparator to start the red zone signal going in the first place. Now there's two things I could have done to do that. The first is I could have put a comparator up here at the top and run a signal down to there, but I figured it'd be hard to do that without introducing some delay into the circuit, because redstone repeaters have a 1 tick delay. It takes several redstone torches have a 1 tick delay. It would take several torches to get the signal to go down. I could have used observers, but I just decided that it's easier. I mean, it's super easy to just drop items down. So you just, you don't need water. You just air, and then have another water there. So I had removed this first dropper elevator. This wasn't here. I had to put it back. So the items are now dropping down and going in the way that it was originally intended. So that they're going back up through the dropper elevator, and that comparator gets to fire, and now everything's working there. So that part is working. I do not have a solution to this one yet. I have a few ideas, but I'd like to try some other things before resigning to a hopper chain. So I'm almost done here with the sorting. Really all I have left to do is I've got the glass, concrete, and wool that I've got to sort through, and then all the non-stackable items. But I think I'm going to end the episode there today, and I will go back through the sorting system. I'll finish everything up between episodes, and I'll show you how it all works at the beginning of the next episode. So thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.